Good evening and welcome to the Car Sim and Race Driver Show. And wherever you might be across the globe, it might be the morning, it could be the afternoon, but it's evening here in the UK time with a very special guest indeed. It is Jeremie Arrobas. Good evening, Jeremie.
Good evening, you, and it's a real pleasure to be able to participate to your show this evening. And
Oh,
hello to everyone. Hello to Mark. I see the eSeniors are showing up, and it's a real pleasure to be here this evening.
it's fantastic to see everybody in the chat who's in our normal community here with the Hugh Hadrick channel and also with the esports seniors championship who have joined us tonight. It's fantastic to see you all. And just a quick thing, if you like what you see, then give us a like just now. That would be fantastic. And if you want to join the channel, then give us a sub. That would be amazing. We've also got Jeremie's channel there as well for the eSeniors, eSim Seniors Championship in below there. Make sure make sure you subscribe to that too. There was a fantastic race earlier on this evening. But Jeremie, it's fantastic to have you on the show. You actually approached us through your good friend Mike and said you'd heard us on the podcast.
Yes.
And which is great for us because that's exactly what we're looking for, that people are enjoying the podcast and want to be involved and come on the show.
100%. Thank you very much to Mike Maleski for that as well.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was great news. It really excited me when I thought, oh, that's great. We're getting people from all over the globe wanting to come on the show, which is great. I'm going to ask you the question that I ask everyone that comes on the show. How did your sim racing career begin? How did it all start?
Well, it all started in 2000 with the Jeff Crammond Grand Prix 3 game. I got that on PC. And I've always been a big F1 fan since I'm a kid. So when I saw that you could actually race an F1 in a simulation, I said, okay, this is it. I have to try this. So I got myself the equipment, the wheel, the pedals, and I started driving, and I was blown away. And when I look back at the graphics today, I laugh a little bit because the improvement is amazing in the last 20 years. But at the time, I was already amazed. You could compete live and with people all across the planet, and I was blown away. But I seriously only started racing about 2 years ago. With F1 2019, when I saw that game, actually, I had a shock. I mean, I was looking at the graphics and I couldn't tell, are these real cars? Are these the real F1s or not? And I said, this is it. I mean, I am definitely getting this game. I got re-equipped. I got myself a new rig, upgraded my computer, got the game, and started racing again.
Yeah.
And that was fabulous. I mean, I just this time the graphics were outstanding. The force feedback as well made a huge leap forward. It was incredible, and I'm one who always wanted to race since I'm a kid, and I never had that opportunity. So that was the closest thing to actually racing a real car, right? I mean, without the G-forces technically, but I will never forget that. So that's how I got involved in sim racing.
Wow.
And it's only a year later, after playing F1 for about a year, I approached an old friend of mine, Michel Benchaya, who I knew was a professional go-kart racer. And at the time, I approached him and I said, "Are you aware we can race online? And I would like to race you with that F1." And he told me, "Nah, you're not playing the right game." And I said, "What do you mean I'm not playing the right game?" He said, "No, you should be racing Assetto Corsa Competizione." And I went, "What is that? I never heard of it." So he's the one who intrigued me, and actually I went in, and the first game I got after that was Assetto Corsa, and immediately after Assetto Corsa Competition, and then I went, oh my God, I mean, this is even better than the F1. It's it has a level of reality that goes beyond, and it's a true simulator. And that's what I like. That's what I always say. I mean, we are not, when we compete with the seniors and everything. We do compete. What I mean by that, we don't play. It's not a game we play. It's a simulation we share, and we do race against each other. And that game allows you to do that. That game allows you. You have to think as a driver. You have to set up your car. You have to prepare. You have to learn your tracks. You have. You really have to get the mind of a professional driver and go in there. So in the beginning with the Assetto Corsa Competizione, when we started racing, it was Michel and myself. We would go on the public servers. And I had a blast, except that I started getting fed up, getting side by side with a driver as I was trying to pass and being pushed out of the track. And that never stopped. It would be almost every day. And I said to Michel, I mean, this is insane. I mean, it's incredible. We cannot keep on going like this. And earlier this year, he mentioned a league here in Quebec that we could join to compete. So I said, maybe that's going to be better, because it's a league. It must be controlled. So we joined in January, and I really didn't like the way it was organized. I didn't like the atmosphere. And I said to Michel, you know what? I think I have an idea here. I think what we have to do is create something for people our age. I'm 66, Michel is 69, and so I had the idea. I said, you know what? Let's start a Facebook page, eSeniors 60 years old, and see what happens. And so I created that page, and a few people showed up, and then we were 10, 15, and then a lot more drivers started going, what do you mean 60? I'm 59. And somebody else said, I'm 58, I'm 57. And I said, okay. So I said to Michel, you know what we're going to do is we're going to bring it to 50 years old. That will be the minimum age you can join. And that's how the eSenior 50-year-old GT3 World Championship started. And I tell you, it was absolutely astounding. What happened is, like, people started pouring in, and there was, it was a nice phenomenon to see that we were not alone. We wanted to race with civilized drivers, people that would care about you being on track and wanting to race in a fair manner, and that's it. So everything started in February of this year, so about 8 months ago. So we are still pretty young as a community, but what a fantastic community this is. I mean, right now we are 3 administrators: Mark Pocock, Michel Benchaya, and myself. Mark Pocock is doing so many things within the community. It's absolutely insane. Now he's a broadcaster, he's a commentator, he's a steward, he organizes so many things, takes care of so many things, and it's an amazing community, because everyone in there is so helpful and ready to share everything, and we have a lot of fun. We truly have a lot of fun, and yes, of course there are incidents. That's part of racing, isn't it? But the beauty of the eSeniors is this, is that the more we race, the more we know each other, the bigger the respect between the drivers and the more spectacular the races as we go. And that's what's beautiful. That's what the process is amazing, and to see the community mature into that kind of level of racing is wonderful. It's truly wonderful. And once again, it's because I believe when you deal with people 50 years old and older,
Yeah.
because one of the oldest driver we have right now is 76, I believe, and it's
Wow.
Terry Trowbridge, and he's very fast, and
Yeah.
he's a fierce competitor as well. So but we have amazing drivers among us, and we like, for example, with Mark and myself, Mark Pocock and myself race very closely all the time, and it's insane. But the pleasure is intense because you can race very close, without fearing being hit, and that's the difference, being within this community than going on a public server, where on a public server you don't know who you're racing.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be
You
pretty
don't know,
daunting.
you don't know the state of mind they're in. You don't know what they took before that race. You don't know what to expect. With the seniors, we do have an amazing structure in place. We talk to each other literally every day.
Uh-huh.
We have pre-race meetings, 6 days out of the week. We have 7 races a week. So, and it's always about 80 to 90 drivers racing during the week.
Wow.
So it, it's a it's some kind of very intense friendship going on, because it
Mm.
created a lot of ties between people that never knew each other, and
Yeah.
that's worldwide, because we have Australians, we have British, we have French, we have Italians, Swedish, Denmark, German, Holland, South Americans, it's Americans, Canadians. It's insane. It's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds amazing, and it sounds like it's really kind of rejuvenated you as well. That you can tell from your energy talking about it that you're obviously very passionate about the community and about the racing and how much fun it is and how much enjoyment you get from it. And that really shows that, I think, because there's a lot of people in our age group that are just so keen on Formula One and racing, and this is now their chance to compete and to have a go. But do you think is it just a kind of love of the sport, or what do you think it is that drives people now to start kind of playing these sim racing games and joining a community like yours?
What? I'm sorry.
What do you think it is that makes people want to be part of a community like yours? Because obviously they're
Well, it's very simple. I think there's an aura around the seniors as we speak, and I think people talk to their friends, and they know what's taking place. They hear, they can follow our broadcasts. They can see the energy. They hear her laugh. They hear us laugh and share, and it's spreading. It's spreading because we are getting new members all the time, and unfortunately, I have to also turn down younger drivers who want to join us, but they're not 50. and
you
and
have
today actually. Someone said, I joined you in February, and I'm turning 50 next week. You
all
know,
right. Oh,
great racing. So yes, it's the karma, it's the friendship among us, and the respect we succeeded building. I mean, it's an amazing family, and like any family, you have fights sometimes, I mean,
Yeah.
because no one likes being pushed out of the track or being rear-ended by someone else. But you know, the amazing thing is drivers apologize to each other, and if they get mad, well, they get mad for 24 hours, and the next day they're pals again with whoever caused the incident, and we're back on the track, and we're racing hard again. And that's what this community is all about. It's an amazing family. It's an
Yeah.
amazing family.
It's fantastic. Now we've got lots of people in the chat there. We've got Lady Wonderlist all the way from California, who's with us today as well, and she's got a fantastic channel,
Hello
well
there.
worth watching. Really, really good fun, and a fantastic driver there, and it's great to see how she is getting on in racing. And of course, we've got all our guys from your community and from the Hugh Hat-Trick community here as well. Now, you may have noticed, for all you eagerly-eyed watching the video, that Jeremie has a little friend there with him too. It's there's a wee dog there, and they all want to know what is the name of the dog.
Yeah, that's Mars. He's a Jack Terrier.
Ah,
And
looks a lovely, lovely dog.
we're inseparable, actually. So I remember in the beginning when we had video meetings with the eSeniors. Somebody said, "That's your spotter, isn't it?" And,
That's
yeah.
to see what happens first.
He always sleeps when I race now.
Oh, that's fantastic. No, it's really, really good. And I was going to say, because the age is 50 and I'm slightly short of that, so that's why there'll be, if I join you in the racing, if I have the outside chance of doing well, I know I'll get banned.
Yeah, but we have Mondays. Mondays, anyone can join the race.
All right, on a Monday.
Yes.
All right.
So we have Mondays GT3. That is open to anyone. If you're younger or outside or from another league, you're welcome to join that race anytime. The rest is a championship, because on Tuesdays we have teams constructor championship now. On Wednesdays we have the GT4 championship. On Thursdays we have the Porsche Cup. Fridays, Saturday, and Sunday, we have 3 groups racing GT3. So Group 3 races Fridays, Group 2 Saturdays, and Group 1 on Sunday. So we have a busy schedule, but anyone from the outside can join us and experience the atmosphere of the eSeniors, as long as you're respectful on the track, of course.
Yes, yeah. I was going to say, otherwise you're going to have a kind of eSeniors junior category. So you can have maybe 10 years below 50 or something.
You know, we toyed with the idea, because we always thought, Michelle, Mark, and myself, we're always thinking. It's a non-stop process. I mean, I speak to them almost every day, and they actually, with Mark, we have a couple of surprises coming up shortly. So we're always thinking and always trying to go further. We have ambitions with this. I mean, like I said, it's still new. It's still only 8 months old, and we haven't reached the full potential yet. But it's very exciting. And what's exciting is to see the involvement of the drivers themselves, race after race, whatever the group you're in, you know. Yeah. And it's also, what I have to say, it's like it's almost a completely independent community. What I mean by that is that, you know, you have Coach Dave, for example. Well, we have Chris Bourne, for example. We have Peter Vosliner. We have Mark Pocock, who can give you setups, and eSeniors share their setups, and they're awesome. Wow. And sometimes they're even better than Coach Dave. You know, so there you go. So it's a self-sustaining community, and drivers share with each other. Driver coach each other. You know. Yeah. and it's wonderful. I mean, it's not. The competition is fierce. Don't misunderstand me, because we have really serious racers among the seniors, and they mean business.
Yeah.
You can be stuck. You can be a second faster than a driver, and believe me, he's going to make sure. Well, you find a weak place somewhere, but you might be following him for 10, 15 laps without being able to pass. So they will do everything to try to finish ahead of you. But hey, that's the game, right? If,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you can protect your lines properly, and then it's up to the guy behind to try to find a crack to
Yeah.
get in and pass you, but it's all done in a fair manner, because we do have rules, and most people observe those rules, of course. And we used to have a lot of incidents, for example, like any other leagues actually, in the first lap. First lap is a crucial lap. Everyone knows that, but um, the sad thing about first lap is that sometimes you have a driver who spent hours preparing for that race and
Mhm.
not even making turn one,
Yeah.
and then and ending up in the pits, and holding his head, going, "Why did I do this? Why is that the way?" So we had to cut that. We found a way to cut that out
Mhm.
by creating a 10-place penalty
All right.
to anyone who would create a major incident during first lap. Believe me, since we've done that, the first lap is always a pure marvel. I mean, we can start, the race starts, and yes, there will be incidents later on, but at least we solve that problem for now, but it's a simulation, and at the same time you have issues with sometimes internet connection, you know
Yeah.
and so there's a fine line there, where but no, I believe we are, as we grow, races are becoming more and more intense, and people more and more eager to race.
Yeah.
I see people posting race day. When it's the day of the race, they're really looking forward to it, and so am I. And I'm one, and I know I'm not the only one who loves to prepare. I prepare myself a long time before a race, and I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
And and some drivers come and say, "This is my lap time. What's your lap time?" and so forth. And but we also have our aliens, right? We have guys in the eSeniors. They are really really fast. So these guys are in Group One, and but every league has those aliens, and it's great that we do as well. It's great that we do as well. But also, what's great with our community is that I remember in the beginning we had, and I tell you one thing: when we started racing, the first couple of races, I was shaking in my seat. I
Yeah.
was so nervous. It was I was so nervous, and since then we had a lot of drivers experiencing that kind of stage fright. They
Mhm.
they were afraid. It was their first time racing, and you should see how they progressed. You should
Yeah.
see how some guys went from Group 3 to Group 2, or from Group 2 to Group 1. Drivers are getting better all the time, because I mean, in order to improve, you have to make sure you create the right environment for that to happen. And I
Mhm.
believe we achieved that. We achieved an environment where someone can learn, develop the game, because we do have drivers that come, they join us, and they say, "I'm very new at this. I just started last week." Or I don't have the adequate, I have very obsolete equipment, and so forth. But we allow them to overcome their fear and transform that fear into enthusiasm, and it's amazing. It's great.
Oh, it's fantastic. Now, one of my admins has asked a question, I think, in French. So I can't guarantee it's been written properly because he didn't put prior.
Quelle
Let
musique
me.
in
He
French?
says, quelle musique Jeremie aime courir? If
Oui,
that's
which means what kind of music do I listen when I race? Um, uh, I'm going to answer in French and then write in English. Je n'écoute aucune musique quand je cours. Absolument rien que la musique. La seule musique que j'écoute, c'est le bruit du moteur. Yeah, I don't listen to music when I race. The only music in my ears is the music from the engine of the car I drive.
Yeah, that's the best way, isn't it? That's it. That's the thing. I think because they've spotted the keyboard in the background as well, and I think that's why.
Yes. Yes, I happen to be a musician. I'm a writer as well, but and a few guys know I'm founding member of an 80s band by the name of Men Without Hats, and I was instrumental in creating that famous hit "Safety Dance." So yeah, but that was a very long time ago. But I'm still a musician today. I'm still a writer as well, and but that's what I do when I don't drive.
Yeah. It's fantastic, isn't it? I think because I used to play the piano and I'm a drummer. I play
Oh
drums,
yeah,
and I think there is something about.
I'm a drummer as well.
Oh wow! Oh, that's
Yeah,
the thing, isn't it?
that's
It's
how that's how I came to music. I came to through drumming, and actually, um, this is what happened. I'm a founding member of Men Without Hats. We were two, and I was the drummer. And one day I heard about rhythm machines. They just came out. It was 78, 79. And so I went out and I got myself two rhythm machines and a sequencer, and I came back to the rehearsal space, and I said to Ivan at the time, I said, "This is it. These are the new drummers.
yeah,
I'm going to keyboards. I wanted to play keyboards."
yeah.
And technique, and this is actually how Safety Dance came to life. I was alone in the rehearsal space, and I hooked up the two rhythm machines and the sequencer, and the sequencer, I entered the famous riff, if you know that song, which is the coupled with the two rhythm machines. And when Ivan walked in the rehearsal space, I told him, "I have something for you to listen." So I pushed the button, and there the song started the way it starts today on the record. And Ivan turned his synthesizer on and played his piano riff. And 4 minutes later, the song was written and it
Oh,
was done. It was as simple as that.
that's amazing, though, isn't it? No, that's the thing, and of course, the '80s was such an incredible era of music. All these famous
Definitely,
songs.
definitely, because of electronics, and it's funny because we can put the metaphor can be used with Assetto Corsa Competizione. The level of the new engines they use to create those simulations
Yep.
allows for
Mm.
this realism. The same way in the 80s when we got the synthesizers, the rhythm machines, it was like brand new, but it launched a complete new era in music, right? Because everything before was rock and roll,
Yeah.
was Led Zepp, Pink Floyd, everything was guitar based. Actually, Pink Floyd maybe less because Pink Floyd had a lot of, and Pink Floyd is one of my favorite bands of all times,
Yeah.
along with Led Zepp. But it really, the 80s brought in all the technology into the music, and that redefined the sound. Everything that was so rock and roll before became very electronic based, And the same thing with what's happening today in the world of gaming, and with the internet. Look at what's happening in the sim world. You have worldwide competitions, F1, GT3. It even involves professional drivers.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember a year ago, we had F1 drivers actually participating in esports.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that shows you the level of seriousness. It's a world in itself, but I think it draws serious people into it, and I think that's what I like with the seniors is like we do have guys that have an amazing equipment. They have the latest direct drives, pedals, you name it. I mean, and I tell you, they are really immersed in that world. And when they come to race, you can see that they come to race seriously.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. And I think it brings slowly the level higher and higher as we go, because I know a lot of drivers that have graded their gear since February, and we'll keep on doing it because the same thing as we were mentioning in the 80s. If you wanted to participate to the new wave, you had to be equipped.
Yeah, yeah.
If you didn't have the toys, you couldn't play.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
So the same thing today. If you want to play, you have to acquire the toys. And the nice thing about the eSeniors is that it's professional men, and they have the means to acquire that equipment and share and have fun, and that's awesome.
No, it's amazing, isn't it? Because I always think, I started off. The rig I've got just now is just the most kind of entry level rig, which is the G29 steering wheel and pedals, and then the Play Seat Challenge. But to be fair, it's a really good rig, and the transformation from driving on a pad to then driving on that, it was huge. And then now you see all the new stuff, and I thought, I could quite like a track racer, because they're quite big and they've got all this stuff, or a GT Omega. You look at all these different incredible rigs now, and you just think, which one would you have? Because they all look so good. They've all got little advantages, and you think, but direct drive, I think, and then load cell pedals, I think, would be the next thing for me. I would quite like to get better, because I think they say the G29 pedals are not very good, but the load cell pedals can be up to about half a second a lap.
But see, there you go. You see, even yourself, you're talking about upgrading, and the reason why you want to do that is because you want to get closer, even closer to the reality of the situation itself, right? Because if you have better pedals or better or direct drive wheel, or the triple screens, I mean, you start being more immersed into the game itself. Although you can be as well with lesser equipment. I mean, I believe it's the driver more than the equipment.
Yeah.
But still,
I think it does help to give you a bit more of a feel, and I think if it can help you go a bit faster as well, then that's even better, isn't it? Because that does give you a bit. It makes you enjoy it a bit more when you see that you're getting more competitive too, and I think that's one of the key things. Well, we're getting lots of great chat comments there, all about your music and how they think, my goodness, you're the coolest guy they've seen on the interviews. Now that they know that what song you've created and what group you were part of there and what you're still part of, which is fantastic. Now, Jerry has asked, when did you first start watching Formula One?
Oh my God, I started actually. You know what? I started listening to F1 when I was 10, 11 years old. I remember at the time I didn't have access to a TV. So I'm 66, right? We're talking about this, now 65, 67. And I was listening to F1 races on the radio.
Yeah.
And but my my room was full of posters of F1, and it was posters of drivers like Jackie Stewart, Ronnie Peterson, Jim Clark. At the time, I was gone with F1, and I and I even I remember telling my mom I wanted to become a race car driver, and she said to me, "Over my dead body, you'll never do that. It's too dangerous." And and it's true that at the time, being an F1 driver was very risky, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, we lost amazing drivers because of accidents. I mean, today you can have incredible accidents and survive, but in those days, no, it wasn't the same. But yes, I started listening, and then I started watching on TV, yeah, I would say when I was 13, 14 years old. And I will still wake up here in the middle of the night to watch a live F1 race.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. And I think you guys have a term for that a friend of mine shared with me. It's Jonathan Wood. He taught me that term, anorak.
Oh, yeah, the anorak, yeah.
Yes. So that's what I am.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That's what, I'm sure that was a Top Gear quote as well, wasn't it? That was I'm sure Jeremy Clarkson used that a bit, as in a bit of an anorak about certain types of interest. But well, you would have seen incredible stuff in those days. I mean, the old town I used to live in before I moved recently was Duns. Was the town of Duns in Scotland, which is where the Jim Clark Motorsport Museum is. Because
Yes,
he
I know.
lived a few miles away from there. And they've just done it up, and it's a fantastic museum. It's all brand new. They've got a simulator in there, a VR one as well,
Nice.
and it's a kind of cutout of his Lotus Cooper car, which is quite good.
Well, you guys in England, it's like you're it as far as F1 is concerned in my book. I mean, yes, we have Ferrari in Italy, but in the UK, the history of motor racing is very big, right? So, and it's always been, and I always followed F1, knowing all the McLarens and all the British constructors. I mean, they dominated Formula One along with Ferrari, but today it's still the same. One of I would say, the best driver there is today in the world, in my book, is Lewis Hamilton, and
Yeah.
and I think he's incredible. He's just amazing. And the new British drivers, Russell and Lando, are phenomenal. I mean, the new crop of British drivers is insane. I don't think the British have been as strong as they are today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's exceptional, isn't it? I mean, I think of course, you've got there's lots of comments there saying about Montreal as well. I mean, the Canadian Grand Prix is always a cracker of a race.
Yeah, I've been there many times. I've been there so many times, actually. Let me show you something. Here, Mike. These are my passes.
Oh, your tickets, yeah, your passes, yeah.
Yeah, I was invited. I was lucky. I was a neighbor for years to a gentleman here who had affiliation with Renault and will let me in. In the so I had access to the Montreal Grand Prix many times. I was there the first race, and it was pretty dramatic, as I recall. There was someone died at the start of that race. I don't remember who it was, but it was pretty heavy. And yes, I've been Montreal Grand Prix many times, absolutely. And I wish I went to different races, but I never had the opportunity to go anywhere, like Silverstone, for example, or Monza or Spa. I never had that opportunity.
It's a long flight from Canada, mind you, to do all of that. It's a long way to kind of come across to Europe to see a race. and it's not exactly the cheapest thing that you can do either. It's quite a big expense to do that. But the only race I ever saw live so far was back in 1993. It was the European Grand Prix at Donington, and I saw Ayrton Senna win the Grand Prix, and it was a phenomenal. I'll never forget it. My whole life, it's just one of the most amazing day you can ever have.
Goosebumps listening to you.
Yeah. I honestly, it was just incredible. I'll never forget it, because all the overtakes on that first lap, and then to find out that was Murray Walker's best first lap ever, that you thought that was the most incredible first lap we'd ever seen. And it was, and we saw it, and me and my mate Jonathan saw it. I was just at my 18th birthday, and we saw Schumacher go off in front of us into the sand. We were just at the kind of back chicane as you come into the kind of loop. And it was incredible. And when he came round on that first lap, he was just catching up with Prost. And then so he came down the hill, and then when he came up the hill, he was ahead of Prost, and off he went into the distance. But it was the noise, the whole thing, the atmosphere. And when you saw him go past, as he pulled for another gear, you actually saw his head and his neck.
Yes.
You go back, because it was so exposed. And it was just, I'll never forget it. And then it was just incredible. And in those days as well, you didn't have the 5 lights on as they do now. It was just simply red and green. And you just heard the revs go up. It was like being like a musician. The revs go up, and then it just drops. And then the traction control came in, and it kind of buzzed away, and then off they went. It was incredible.
That's right. No, I mean, you reminded me of something. One day I sat in a professional go-kart, and I was pretty excited. So I just put my helmet, I sat in it, and then I went on the track, and as soon as I started accelerating, my head went back. And all of a sudden, I was looking at the sky, and I said, what is this? I won't be able, I don't know where I am anymore. I had to lift off, and my head came back, and I said, okay, I'm not ready to race. I mean, you need amazing strength. And that's what a lot of people don't understand, that F1 drivers are absolutely unique athletes. They're probably better athletes than any Olympian. The training they go through, the strength you need to handle the G-forces. And when I mention G-forces, everyone knows who follows F1, it's positive and negative G-forces, right? So you are constantly fighting 3, 4, 5 Gs sometimes. It's more than what a jet fighter can handle. And those cars are so fast and stick to the ground so much. That's the only thing I miss from F1 simulation, is the GT3s don't stick to the ground as much as an F1, and that's where the challenge is. The GT3 slides a lot more, and F1 is so pushed down by the downforce that you can go into turns extremely fast and not lose the car. If you try to do the same thing with the GT3, it's not going to happen.
No, that's for sure. But it's incredible, really. I mean, I think when we see the Formula One, and even though I have to say, I mean, I was a big fan of the V12s and then the V10s and the V8s. I wasn't a big fan of the V6s. I thought that they really lost the sound that they kind of made part of the show of Formula One. But I think they're a little bit better now than what they were. So I think they were making a big announcement today that potentially they were going to use hydrogen engines or something in them. I don't know. I heard rumours, or that I just saw a very small, short clip that somebody had put up. So I don't know if they've announced what their latest engine's going to be. But I thought when we used to go and watch the testing in Spain, in Jerez, and it was fantastic. For €10, you would get into Jerez. And you could see, we saw Schumacher, we saw Lewis Hamilton. I think the first year we went was 2008, or maybe early 2009, I can't quite remember. And we saw Lewis Hamilton here pass in his McLaren. And that was an incredible thing. And I know, and as it on the end of the back of the straight, as they brake, and you hear all the kind of pattering from the engine as they're banging down the gears, and then off they go. It's just it's something incredible.
Yeah, talking about F1, I love to make one analogy is this. It's like all those F1 drivers know each other since they're kids. They've been racing along each other since they're 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
So they know each other when they get on the track. Whatever happens, when you have that incidents with Verstappen and Hamilton, they know each other. They know each other very well, and that's also what's happening with the eSeniors is we're starting to know each other very well after 8 months. So
Yeah.
when you get side by side with another driver, you know who you're getting
Yeah.
side by side with, and that creates a different atmosphere on the track. The same way those guys, they are friends. I mean, I know F1 drivers are very protective and very selfish. They don't share anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially teammates. GT3 is different though.
Mm.
GT3 drivers share the information,
Yeah.
because usually they team up. But teammates in an F1, nah, they're not going to share anything with you. I mean, I've heard about Jackie Stewart teaching François Sauver. He was a French driver who happened to kill himself, unfortunately, too soon. But he was actually trying to coach him. But very few F1 drivers will actually do that. They
Yeah.
they, they keep their cards very close to their chest, and like they're not going to share any secrets. And but with the seniors, see. For example, Mark Pocock, we are about the same speed, the same strength. He's going to share his setup with me,
Yeah.
knowing that I might match his time, but it doesn't matter. Peter Wolfsliner will do the same thing. Peter Wolfsliner is one of the fastest with Chris Bourne, Carlo van Brabant. They are very fast drivers. Derek Bird, Neil Bywater. They will share their setup with you. They are not hiding. They are not protecting anything. See what I mean? They want to help you,
Mhm.
challenge them, and I think it's fabulous, because you feel like you're given the chances to fight at any level you want. I mean, I know I can go to any driver, and any other driver can go to within the community and say, "Can I have your setup?" And it will be shared within a few minutes. And there you go. You don't have to get the CDA. You don't have
Yeah.
to get anything. It's there for you.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Because I was racing last night on Thea's Three's a Crowds stream, and I was at Kyalami, and I never really raced there before, so I did a little bit of practice. I was using the McLaren, I think it's the 720, the most recent one that you can get, I think, on ACC. But I was struggling to get into the low 44s. That was kind of like my best run. And then the top guys were doing 41.8s and things like that. But I thought, well, there must be a way to find out those 2 seconds to get that, because I knew it was there and I knew I wasn't getting it right. But it was trying to get that right. So yeah, get better setups would definitely help, and a bit
Yes,
of
yes. Setups are crucial. I mean,
coaching.
that it took me a long time to understand that. See, because I consider myself still new within Assetto Corsa competition. I'm still learning a lot of things. There are things within setups I wouldn't dare touching, like the dampers and things like that, because I don't fully understand the repercussions of what I'll be doing. And it's a little bit of an algorithm where if you touch something, it's a domino effect. You,
Yeah, yeah,
you change something, and all of a sudden, well, the car doesn't handle the right way. So yeah, you have to be careful. Yeah, I see here Mike wrote, yeah, Jeremy, I'll never let you buy.
yeah.
See, that's the kind of humor we deal with within the group.
Oh, so it's really good though. I mean, it does sound like a fantastic kind of racing series, and I have to say, I'll have to try and do it. It's just tell us what time it's on, so people who are watching can come and join you as well.
All the races are at 10. No, they are at let me think 1 second here. They are 2 p.m. here, so they are 7 p.m. UK time.
Okay.
And which means 2 p.m. Eastern time, Canada. And believe it or not, we have that's it. Mark wrote 7 p.m. UK time. We have Australians getting up at 2 in the morning to race.
Wow.
With us. That's right, on Saturday, and that's Ollie Lenortner. I call him the crazy Aussie because who will get up at 2 in the morning to race? You know someone who will do that?
They must be retired. Everyone else
No,
has
he's not. Actually, he's not retired. But he loves racing, and you know what? There is a true respect, and people love this community, and that's what's fabulous, and that's what makes me so happy is to see the happiness of others and how much we share and laugh together, race together, sometimes fight together. But like I told you in the beginning, it's a big family and it keeps growing. And actually, each time you have someone new coming in, you feel like, who's this? And you have to get to know that person. And but the atmosphere is such that you are accepted right away and integrated right away. You can ask any question. Someone, if I'm not there to answer, someone else will answer. Everyone is there to help, and everyone is there to have fun at the same time. But at the same time, it's a competition. We are fighting for the world championship within the eSeniors, and believe me, it's a fierce battle.
Yeah. No, it sounds fantastic, actually, I have to say, and it gives us a lot of hope that to be able to improve and be more competitive, and people sharing their setups and advice on how to get faster is really a big thing, because that's what we all are trying to do. But in the pre-show, we had a quick chat, and I was telling you of because of the sim racing and the experience I've had with these kind of games and things. It's really improved, I think, my actual driving skills in real life. And I remember doing a track day down at Mercedes World at Brooklands a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago. And I was driving a Mercedes C43 AMG Saloon. And it was a great car, but normally in the driving games, they're quite dodgy to drive because any kind of road cars are, they don't kind of turn as well and they're not quite as good. But actually, it was easier to drive than on the games I'd played, on the simulations. It actually turned in well, and it felt so much more natural. Have you found at all, after you've been racing, have you maybe driven a nice car at some point or done a track day or something like that and have found a similar experience?
No, I haven't, unfortunately, but I would love to. I would love to. Actually, I would love to jump into an Aston Martin and drive it on a track, But I'm afraid I'm not sure what the result would be. But that would be a good way to measure actually the level of the simulation, to have the opportunity. But that's asking a little bit too much. At this point, like asking Aston Martin to let you drive a car just to see if it compares with Assetto Corsa Competizione.
You're going to have to launch Safety Dance 2. You'll pay for it to be able, so you can say, right, I'll buy one. I can say,
that's right.
But no, it's fantastic. Now it's now Mike Molesky has been saying, I have a BMW 235. And he's gotten lots of tickets since being in the championship.
That's right. Yeah, it's funny because on our website we do have an interview section, and one of the questions that everyone was asked was, how many tickets did you get since you drive? But amazingly, not many. Most guys are pretty safe drivers, and so there you go. It doesn't mean because you drive a GT3 very fast on the track that you're gonna drive your car crazy on 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 the highway unless you're on the autobahn, you know. But even then, you know, I mean, you're taking a useless risk, and I don't know. I mean, personally, I got too many tickets, and yes, I love, I love speeding, but no, now I, I calm down quite a lot. But yes, I had a few police cars with the lights behind me.
I always remember my father, he loved his cars. And although he had some pretty awful cars for many years, he finally got a good one after a while. And it was an Alfa Romeo. And it was a
Oh,
155 2 litre twin spark. And it was a phenomenal car. It was such a good car. And it was this tiny little steering wheel that literally had 1.5 turns lock to lock. It was great. And it had this wonderful. It was a 2 litre engine, it had loads of torque, and it made a great noise. And I remember we used to go back from Stirling. We'd go out for the day, and then he'd bring me back to Edinburgh. And the Stirling motorway from Stirling to Edinburgh is quite a good road, and it's quite fast. And he would sit there in fifth gear, and then I was kind of like, oh, we seem to be going at quite a rate. So I would look over to the speedo, and my dad would be doing about 110. Totally kind of noticed, and this was in his 70s, his mid 70s, and that's miles an hour. So that's about
wow.
150 kilometers or whatever it is or more. And he didn't seem to think anything of it. And I was saying, Dad, maybe you might want to slow down soon because there's traffic ahead. And it was like,
In North America is totally different than in Europe. North America roads are straight
yeah,
for miles. I mean, there's not one turn anywhere.
yeah.
So you are forced to speed. I mean, because it's so boring. But each time I went to Europe, well, there I was on the circuit. It's like you're turning all the time, right, left, and Europeans drive a lot faster than North Americans. I can tell you that.
I'll tell you, man. When we went to Florida a few years ago, we just happened to be in Orlando at the time of there was a big Ferrari Owners Club event in Celebration, and it was great timing because we went to Celebration the week before, and I looked on the notice board, and they said come next week because it's the Ferrari Owners of Florida show, and I thought, oh, this is amazing. So we came the next week, and it was unbelievable. They had Ferrari Enzos. They had the new one. What was it? They had the Ferrari LaFerrari that was there. They had a new Bugatti Chiron thing, and
Nice.
they had all these other cars. But then you had lots of trade stands and all the kind of other stuff that they had. And one of them, it was a big racing group or a big racing circuit people. And so similarly, there's some big circuits in Florida that other than things like Daytona, I think they were more in the south, where you can go and do rally driving and racing, and it's about a third of the cost of what it costs in Europe to do. So I thought, actually, you know what? It's almost worth going over there to do a track day or to go and do some running because it was incredible value for money for what you could get. But it was, and also it's nice when you're doing it in the city weather.
Talking about the US, I don't know if you heard that Andretti might buy the Alfa Romeo team F1.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
next year there is a Miami.
Oh yeah, Miami Grand Prix, isn't there? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I kind of wonder how that will work. I hope the circuit will be good. I hope that it'll be decent for overtaking. I'm not sure always the street circuits work quite similar.
I believe it will be a street circuit. Yes.
Yeah. I have to say, I do love the one. Oh, it's the new one? Oh, it's gone right out of my head. It's the one that begins with an A.
Which one?
You know the new one that they did about 3 or 4 years ago. They started it. It's in. Oh, it's in one of the former. It was.
You mean a US race?
No, it was in Europe. It was, and it's a kind of mixture of a street circuit and a race circuit. It'll come back to me. I know that Andrew will know it. It's that one where it has the very long straight and it's very, very wide, and then there's that very narrow section at the far side where they go through the castle.
Is that Sochi?
No, that's the Russian one.
I don't know.
Oh, it'll come.
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan. That's it.
Azerbaijan. I believe it's Azerbaijan.
Yeah, and I love that track. I think that's a really good track. That seems to work quite well. But hopefully Miami, it'll certainly have the atmosphere.
Yeah, Baku, that's it. Don Quinn.
Yeah, Baku.
Baku.
Yeah.
Baku.
Oh, it's fantastic. I've just seen as well that it's funny because when we were talking before about my father having the Alfa Romeo 2 litre, but I've been outdone because I think was it Neil that was saying, one of them was saying that you had a V6, you had the V6 155 Alfa Romeo, and that was the cracker of the car to have. If you had that engine, that was the most amazing thing. But yeah, no, it's quite a thing. But you can just see from the passion already, isn't it, that the cars, F1 game, the sim racing, it just brings it all out, and isn't it? It's so much fun to be able to do. But many of the guys here in the chat sounds like they have some phenomenal cars that they've been either playing with or having their armory in their garages or their workplaces, which is fantastic. But what kind of car do you drive then, Jeremie?
The Aston Martin GT3 is my favorite car. That's the one I do the fastest laps with, and Mark Pocock provides me with his amazing setups. So I don't have much to think there. I just drive as fast as I can. When with the GT4, I love the BMW. I think it's a very easy car. I use the aggressive setup and maybe tweak a little bit the steering wheel, and that's about it. I mean, the car will handle itself pretty good. But GT3, yes, I've tried the Porsche, and I learned a lot with the Porsche. It's a beast to tame. It's really a difficult GT3 to handle, but it helped me understand a lot racing. And when I started with the McLaren. I love that McLaren as well.
It's a good car. It's quite stable, isn't it? It's quite a stable car.
It's very stable, but I find the easiest car to drive today, to me, is the Aston Martin. And I've tried them all. I love the Ferrari, but somehow that Ferrari, I just cannot tame. I mean, it doesn't want to do what I want it to do. That's it's stubborn with me. But the Aston Martin, I can drive the way I want to drive, and that's a lot of fun. The only thing is, we have a lot of Bentleys in our league, and those guys, man, are flying in those Bentleys.
Yeah, they seem to have come alive recently. They seem to. Really,
I did mention, I believe, because the previous season Ferraris were dominating GT3. They were truly the fastest cars. Now the fastest car seems to be the Bentley, but it's not the car, it's the driver. I mean, we have some guys that you can give them whatever car. Believe me, you won't get past them. Okay, they can, because we have drivers with a Honda, McLaren, Porsche. We have almost all the cars. Only a car, I don't know if you noticed that, but there's one car no one ever touches in Assetto Corsa Competizione, and it's the Jaguar.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I tried it. I wasn't impressed, but there are some cars nobody touches. You don't know why.
I have a great story about that one, because when they made the new F-Type, it was my brother. He was coming over from Hong Kong, and he rented one for the week because he was coming to visit us. And he said, "Oh, Hugh, we'll get a great car because my work is paying, so we can get something really good, and I'll put you on the insurance so you can drive." And I said, "Oh yeah, that'll be amazing." So he came over and he got this. I met him at the airport, and we got this Jaguar F-Type convertible, the kind of four-wheel drive. It was the 5-litre V8 supercharged thing. So an amazing machine. And he got me on the insurance. So he drove it down from Edinburgh down to the Scottish borders. And then the thing is, we'd had an argument with our local milkman. the day before, saying that his milk was too expensive, and that we couldn't afford to get it delivered. We were just going to buy it from the shop. And he wasn't very happy. And then the next day, because when my brother said, you can have the car and take your wife out with it. So I took my wife and the two of us went for a wee run. And who do we meet in Duns? But the milkman coming the other way. This is about a day after. And he's looking at us with fury and anger. As if because I've cancelled my milk subscription, I can afford it bigger. So he was not at all.
I understand that.
It was brilliant. But I remember we were going down the A1 in this thing, and you could turn on the button so the exhaust came on louder. And I thought, right, there was like a big lorry in front that was carrying, it was a car transporter, plus about 10 other cars in front of it. But it was a decent long straight. So I just put my foot down, put all the power bits up and all the noise bits up, put the roof down, and we just rocketed past everything that was there, and it was so much fun. It was just, cars like that are just brilliant, and it's that kind of thing. But no, it's phenomenal. But there's a very quick kind of intervening advert. Next week we have got Rory Alexander. That's right, here he is coming on the channel. So make sure that you're ready for that one. And if you've got more questions for Jeremie, please put them in the comments just now, as we've been going for over an hour. So it must be, we'll be getting on in time for Jeremie. So he's been very kind putting all this time aside for us tonight.
It's a pleasure being here.
But one of the questions that I have seen earlier was that what is your actual real-time daily driver? What do you drive in real life?
Oh, what do I drive? I drive a 4x4. I have a Range Rover.
Ah, that's a good car. Range Rover is great.
That's an awesome car. I have the Range Rover Evoque. So I'm not racing with that. I can guarantee you that.
I drove a really nice one of those recently. I think it was the 2-litre turbo petrol, and I think it had about 250 horsepower. And it was a really nice car. It made a lovely sound as well, and it handles really well. It's a nice car. That
you know when I grew up, my father had one of the first Rovers, and everybody was driving. And I remember driving on his lap, and he will let me hold the wheel. And so I said, when I got in my 60s, I said I have to get a Rover again. So when I saw the Evoque, I said that's a beautiful 4x4, and I love British engineering, and it's an awesome car to drive. And here in Canada, no, never mind, you need a 4x4, right? Because winters, pretty snowy roads, so I have no fear with that.
They're so good, aren't they? They're just so they adjust to everything. It's amazing how good they are.
Absolutely.
And how forgiving they are as well. You can drive it quite fast, and I
tell you, there's a hell of an adjustment when I come off the GT3 simulation and I get in my 4x4. I get a wake up call there. I go, okay, it doesn't handle the same way at all.
No, it certainly won't. It certainly won't.
But yesterday, just for fun, yesterday I happened to have an Aston Martin, a white Aston Martin, right behind me, and I went, I'm not letting you by.
With your foot to the floor, holding them up, covering your lines in the corners.
That's right.
I know, it's quite a thing. It sounds like Mark Pocock there, who's in the chat, has a very interesting group of friends there. He's talking about he's been in friends who are rally drivers, and he took his works company car on a rally stage and split it in half, which would have been an expensive lunch break, that one. But we'll have to maybe have a look at seeing if we can get Mark on the show, because he knows lots about Duns and about the Jim Clark Museum and things like that, which would be fantastic. But no, it's so good. I mean, it's just been an absolute pleasure.
Same here, you.
And we'll have to have you back on, because we kind of feel we could easily talk for hours and hours.
And please come race with us on a Monday, please.
I will do my best. I'm going to make sure I can.
Fun. I just want to quickly answer Jerry, who asks, "What's my favorite track to drive on ACC?" You know, I'm going to say Monza. I'm going to say Spa as well, and Brands Hatch. I guess these are my three favorite tracks.
Yeah, I do love Brands Hatch. I think it's a great track.
It is.
Monza,
It
we can
is an
work on.
amazing track. It is an amazing track. And next week, I give the seniors a little scoop here. Next week we're doing Misano, and it will be night and rain.
Oh,
So get ready.
you have to be on your best behaviour for that one. That's when
Yeah.
accidents
So
can
join
usually
us
happen.
on Monday. You.
I'll have to see what I can do. It's normally that's kind of bedtime story time for my kids. So I'm
Yeah.
kind of, and I'm on, that's my one of my main duties on a Monday night. So,
I
but I will try
understand.
and see what I can do, see if I can swap it around because I would genuinely love to have a go and see what it's like. I don't know how fast I'll be. It sounds like all you guys are going to lap me by lap 5 at the rates that you guys are going. But no, it'll be fun. It'll be a really good laugh.
Yes. Yes.
But no, that's the thing. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, and I appreciate everybody who's been watching from the eSeniors Championship and Facebook page. You've got your description in below, so you can subscribe to Jeremie's channel down there. It would be fantastic to have you on there. And if you like what you're seeing, it would be great to have you subscribe to our channel here as well, as we're growing fast, which is really really good. And as I say, Jeremie, you are welcome back anytime
Thank
on
you
the.
very much, Hugh. It's a pleasure and an honor to have been part of this show.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. And if you've been listening to this on the podcast and you would like to come on the show, the best way to do it is to email us from the website, which is info@hughhatrick.com, or you can do it on Twitter as well. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. But it's fantastic to see everybody. Thanks again to our community who've been watching us here, whether you're a new subscriber or you've been with us from the start. It's brilliant to be able to speak to you and share a fantastic evening tonight with Jeremie, who's been an amazing guest and
Thank you
also
very much.
a fantastic musician. And many people have just realised how famous you are. So we've had another scoop on our show today, having such a great guest here with you,
My pleasure.
as you
And
are.
thank you everyone for being there this evening. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Well, you stay on the line just now, Jeremie, but I'll close the show. In fact, do you know our famous quote that we always end the show with?
No, I'm sorry.
You don't.
Oh,
You see, this shows that you haven't listened to the end of the podcast. I'm only kidding. That it is, of course, drive fast and try not to crash.
I love that one.
Take care, everyone. We'll speak to you very soon. Bye just now.
Bye, everyone.